President Trump bids farewell to the presidency with a moving speech of accomplishments and a message of America first. Mitch McConnell blames President Trump for the riot at the Capitol. Plus, a new study shows that lockdowns don't work. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
All right, friends, welcome to the show. Happy Wednesday. I hope you're having a great week. If you're new to the show, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to start with President Trump because yesterday from the White House, he recorded his farewell address, and it was awesome. It was one of the best speeches he's ever put together. Went down a very high tone, positive note, and went down all of his accomplishments step by step. It's just he accomplished more in 4 years than most presidents accomplished in 8. He went through those and also drove home this message of America first, because it's not just a talking point. It's a set of policies and orders and laws that put America first, that remind people that America exists to benefit its citizens. It is not the world's piggy bank for a globalist agenda. That's what America first means. With conservative principles on taxes and borders and foreign policy and regulations, President Trump put America first, expanded the party, and that's what drove the Democrats absolutely crazy. He put America first. He stressed that message even to the new incoming administration. And here's the president.
4 years ago, I came to Washington as the only true outsider ever to win the presidency. I had not spent my career as a politician, but as a builder looking at open skylines and imagining infinite possibilities. I ran for president because I knew there were towering new summits for America just waiting to be scaled. I knew the potential for our nation was boundless as long as we put America first.
Great stuff from the president, and he's absolutely right. He came in as an outsider, not a typical politician. And this is what scared the establishment, both Republicans and Democrats alike, the deep state, that he was going to shake things up. Because the establishment doesn't matter Republican or Democrat. They want the status quo. Even the so-called conservatives in Washington, they'll object, but not too strongly. They'll fight for principles, but not too hard. They want the status quo. And President Trump came in and shook that up. And because of that, he faced an over 4-year nonstop attack against him and his family and his agenda. We saw that the president fought back. And this is what led to all the chaos, not accepting the status quo, taking on the deep state. That's what President Trump did. On the White House released yesterday a 49-page document, 49 pages of accomplishment. Again, more than most presidents do in 8 years. President Trump accomplished it in 4, and here's a sample. The unemployment rate reached 3.5%, the lowest in a half a century. Middle-class family income increased nearly $6,000, more than 5 times the gains during the entire previous administration. Unemployment rates for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, Native Americans, veterans, individuals with disabilities, and those without a high school diploma all reached record lows. Wages rose fastest for low-income and blue-collar workers, a 16% pay increase. Again, that's just a sample, folks. I invite you to check out this document. I'll leave a link in the description. Here's more. Immediately withdrew from the job-killing Trans-Pacific Partnership, ended the North American Free Trade Agreement, and replaced it with the brand new USMCA. Signed an executive order making it government policy to buy American and hire American, and took action to stop the outsourcing of jobs overseas. Imposed tariffs on hundreds of billions worth of Chinese goods to protect American jobs and stop China's abuses under Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act of 1962 and Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974. Directed an all-of-government effort to halt and punish efforts by the Communist Party of China to steal and profit from American innovations and intellectual property. See, these are just kind of 2 subjects. There was a whole lot more. And with President Trump's last day in office, I've got to touch on some others. Really significant stuff with the judiciary and him delivering on his promises. And here's more. Confirmed 54 judges to the U.S. Courts of Appeals making up nearly a third of the entire appellate bench, filled all courts of appeals vacancies for the first time in 4 decades, flipped the second, third, 11th circuits from Democrat-appointed majorities to Republican-appointed majorities, and dramatically reshaped the long liberal Ninth Circuit. Appointed Justice Neil Gorsuch to replace Justice Antonin Scalia. Appointed Justice Brett Kavanaugh to replace Justice Anthony Kennedy. Appointed Justice Amy Coney Barrett to replace Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. There's so much, folks, so much out there that I'm not even touching on. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, getting rid of the Obamacare mandate, building the wall, crushing ISIS, no foreign wars for a president. First time that's happened in decades. On and on and on. Energy independence, helping black colleges and universities, reforming the prison system. You name it, this guy did it. All with just unending pressure and attacks from the left, the media, Democrats, big tech, as we saw during the home stretch of the election. This is what President Trump did, and here's more from his address yesterday.
Now, as I prepare to hand power over to a new administration at noon on Wednesday, I want you to know that the movement we started is only just beginning. There's never been anything like it. The belief that a nation must serve its citizens will not dwindle, but instead only grow stronger by the day. As long as the American people hold in their hearts deep and devoted love of country, then there is nothing that this nation cannot achieve.
The movement is just beginning. That's what President Trump said. So he's giving the hint right there that he's planning to stay active. He's planning to push this America First idea, along with conservative policies, conservative principles. He's planning to stay, I guess, in the public eye, hopefully, and keep this message going, because he was the single best advocate for this type of policies. Again, it shaked things up. It's what just freaked out the deep state, but it also expanded our base, expanded our party. There's no doubt that the Democrats, with Joe Biden, became the party of the rich. Corporate America went for Joe Biden. Wall Street went for Joe Biden. The richest zip codes in the United States during this election gave $350 million more dollars to Joe Biden than President Trump. And the Democrats say Republicans are the party of the rich. So next, let's talk about Mitch McConnell, because President Trump today is having a send-off event at Andrews, Joint Base Andrews. Mitch McConnell's not going. Vice President Pence is not going. He's saying logistical problems. Kevin McCarthy isn't going. But Mitch McConnell in particular, he started alluding to the ideas that President Trump could be in trouble with a Senate trial. Then, in a speech on the Senate floor, he flat out blamed President Trump for the Capitol riot and said the crowd was fed lies. And here's McConnell.
When it convened, we had just reclaimed the Capitol from violent criminals who tried to stop Congress from doing our duty. The mob was fed lies. They were provoked by the president and other powerful people. And they tried to use fear and violence to stop a specific proceeding of the first branch of the federal government, which they did not like.
So the crowd was fed lies and provoked by President Trump. And in those comments, one of the keyword is provoked, because that essentially means incite. And that is the word used in the article of impeachment. So right there, McConnell is signaling that he's basically all in for a guilty vote, because he is saying that President Trump provoked the crowd, incited violence against the United States of America. That's the article of impeachment. And McConnell seems to be all, never Trumper now, all in for taking one last shot at President Trump. And here's more from McConnell.
We certified the people's choice for their 46th president. Tomorrow, President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris will be sworn in. We'll have a safe and successful inaugural right here on the west front of the Capitol, the space that President Bush 41 called democracy's front porch. And then we'll move forward. Our work for the American people will continue as it has for more than 230 years.
Blah, blah, blah. It is so hard to listen to Mitch McConnell. It is so hard to just listen to this monotone, just boring. And he's droning on, now talking about getting back to the people's work. Oh my gosh, If you could sense anything, try and get a sense of Mitch McConnell, there might actually be just a touch of excitement coming through when he's talking about getting back to the people's work. And why? Because what that really means is the status quo, business as usual, getting back to the establishment type structure. Joe Biden's going to be president. Wow, man, a 50-something year politician, status quo, going after the Democrats, but not too strongly, not enough to kill their invitations to inside the Beltway parties and gatherings in the social scene. That's what they live for, not actually doing the people's work, as he said. All right, so next, let's talk about the lockdowns and a new study. But first, if you're new to the show or haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. And when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified. We're making our push for 150,000 subscribers, and we can do it with your help. All right, so as you know, from the time that this coronavirus hit and lockdowns began almost a year ago, we had some states that didn't lock down at all, some states that heavily locked down and continue to lock down. You had some states lock down and then phase it out. And as I mentioned, some didn't lock down at all. But I was consistent from the very beginning saying we should not lock down. And because of two reasons. One, you can't lock down the freest country in the world. People have choices. They need to be able to make choices. You can't go around and tell people you are not essential. You can't go to work. You can't make a living. If you own a business, you can't make payroll to pay others. You have to just shut down, end your careers, live off the government. You can't tell people they're non-essential. And secondly, when shutting down everybody, what you need to do is isolate those who are vulnerable. This is serious, but it only affects a very, very, very small portion of the population. Keep those folks safe, educate them, let them make good decisions, and don't shut down the economy and kill everyone else. Jobs, depression went up, drug use went up, suicides went up. Folks, this was not the right idea. And now a new study shows that lockdowns don't work. And here's the story. A recently released study by Stanford University researchers is providing an empirical boost to those who want to shut down the shutdowns. A peer-reviewed article in the European Journal of Clinical Investigation found no clear significant beneficial effect from stay-at-home orders and business closures in 8 nations, including the U.S., versus voluntary measures adopted by South Korea and Sweden. Published January 5th, the article offers what may be the strongest scientific challenge yet to more restrictive non-pharmaceutical interventions, or NPIs, prompting cheers from policymakers calling for reopening of schools, restaurants, bars, and gyms. So South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, she tweeted that, saying, hey, check this out. Lockdowns don't work. She was out there. Others stepped in as well. And here's more of the story. The Stanford-affiliated team examined the impact of more restrictive mandates on case growth rates in regions of 8 nations, England, France, Germany, Iran, Italy, Netherlands, Spain, and the United States, against case growth in Sweden and South Korea, which encouraged but did not require measures such as social distancing and reduced travel. In summary, we failed to find strong evidence supporting a role for more restrictive NPIs in the control of COVID in early 2020, the article concluded. We do not question the role of all public health interventions or of coordinated communications about the epidemic, but we fail to find an additional benefit of stay-at-home orders and business closures. So, how long will the blue states continue to be locked down, especially with evidence like this? The answer is not so simple, because what's the incentive for blue states to reopen if Joe Biden is just going to pour more money in? Our tax money going to these poorly run blue states where they can keep power and control over people because government funds are coming in, rather than relinquishing that power and let people actually be free and make their own choices. It's just absolutely nuts. So next, let's talk about CNN and the heat that they are putting on because they are feeling the pressure from Newsmax. Upstart Newsmax continues to grow. CNN's feeling the heat and is pressuring cable providers to drop the network. And here's the story. We're going to have to figure out the One American News and Newsmax problem, Alex Stamos, the former Facebook chief security officer, told CNN Stelter. These companies have freedom of speech, but I'm not sure we need Verizon, AT&T, Comcast, and such bringing them into tens of millions of homes. In a brazen call for censorship, Stamos echoed CNN demand conservative voices and news outlets be be blacklisted and closed out of cable television and the internet. We have to turn down the capability of these conservative influencers to reach these huge audiences, Stamos said. There are people on YouTube that have larger daytime audiences than CNN. You imagine that? They acknowledge free speech, but we're going to do everything we can to shut it down. Newsmax has them nervous. CNN is freaking out, and we're going to keep on this. Folks, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe, and when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified, and we'll see you next time. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is the 13-Minute News Hour. Okay, friends, thanks so much for watching. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you'll be notified. And here's a special video just for you so you can watch even more of the 13-Minute News Hour. And don't forget to check out GOPUSA.com for the best in conservative news and commentary. We'll see you next time.